welcome to the Scottsdale Vibes podcast. I'm your host, Alicia Haygood. You all know me well enough by this point that you know I love focusing on Scottsdale, the people, places, and events that really makes our town so unique, so special, so one of a kind. I've lived all over the United States, and this is one city where we genuinely care about our small business owners, our entrepreneurs are highly successful, and that's all because why? We support one another. We make room for one another. We bring each other up. We learn from each other's mistakes. We're willing to mentor each other and all of these things. That's something that's very unique. And people don't realize that until you leave and come back and realize and appreciate what you have in your backyard. We are going to learn even more about that today with Nicole Myden, who just released her first book. And I say first because I guarantee you there's going to be another one. And if not, I'm going to hold her to that with this comment. You are worthy of publicity with Nicole Myden. She has had every kind of agency work from big time in LA international clients to right here representing some of our smallest businesses here in Scottsdale that are already on track to make double digits because of what she helps them do. So we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to have Nicole Myden, who's going to teach us how to get you and your small business the publicity that you deserve. When it comes to protecting you, your family, and all your assets, you need to have someone that you can trust, and that's Jeremy Mueller of State Farm Insurance. Jeremy Mueller has lived in Scottsdale his whole life. How can anyone else know your needs more than someone who's been here and seen it all? Jeremy and his team are always ranked in the top % at State Farm. He cares, he's knowledgeable, and most importantly, he's always available. Don't believe me? Give him a call at 480-515-5223 or find him at jeremymueller.com. All right. Listen up, all you small business owners out there. If you're wondering how to get seen, heard, and more publicity for your business, well, today is your day. Nicole Myden has worked in public relations, I'm not going to say probably for over 20 years at least, because we're right around the same age. She started her career in LA working for international agencies, getting to know the ins and outs of the business. She discovered the best practices for all business sizes. But after working in the big leagues, she found her passion was with the small businesses and how to really get seen right here in your local market. Because as I've said many times over and over and over, when you start here in your backyard, you'll grow at the pace that your company can handle. And more importantly, you'll continue to have long-time results and traction and support when you start here right here in your backyard. So here to tell us more, Nicole you are worthy of your publicity and is going to teach us how to get seen. Nicole, I'm so excited. Finally, it's so funny because you have brought me so many of your clients that we've interviewed on the podcast. I've been on some of your media panels that you do. And then I read your book and I think it was 6:30 in the morning. I was like, I just finished your book. You're coming on the podcast. Right away, I'm going to get you. And it's because you have so much value. I tell everyone has a story, right? Our story is what makes us who we are. Our story is what teaches us how to be and who we are. You shared your raw story. And that's vulnerability, but that's where you became so successful, where you are. So I want to talk and learn from you. Where did you come up with the easiest model? And I just want to talk about, let's start with the first question. What is public relations and publicity?
Yeah, great question. First of all, I'm so proud of you. Thank you for having me. This is the best coffee chat ever. Oh my gosh, so much to unpack. So like you said, I've worked very fortunately. I've had a great career, came out of college and went right into LA working in that huge corporate grind in LA in the PR world.
Which at that age is so much fun, by the way.
It was. And also you have to remember, and I'm going to age both of us for a second gracefully, but there was no social media then. Nope. I think Facebook had just come out during college. We had just gotten access to email. I have chills. We just didn't have what people, I believe, think is PR now, which is social media. Social media is not public relations. Public relations is learning how to tell your story through earned media opportunities with your press, whether it's locally or national, in a favorable way, right? So the storytelling, yes, you can amplify that press coverage with social media and leverage it and do things with email marketing to extend the opportunities. But essentially, at the end of the day, a publicist is a catalyst between a person or a brand or a product and the media. We're kind of the middle person to help get that positive story or positive messaging out for you in a way that allows you to attract new eyes, ears, and audiences.
Well, I think that's the key word, is that catalyst. You are a Rolodex. Like, that's to me what so much of an agent brings to the table is you're a Rolodex of information, contacts. You've been in the business long enough to know who and what to work for. As a small business owner, I don't encourage you to try to spend all your hours doing this. It's a waste of your time. That's
a lot.
That's the biggest benefit I've seen.
Yeah. And thank you for bringing that up. What usually happens, and when I moved here, I didn't know anybody when I got here 7 years ago. I knew there were a couple of girls that I knew from college that were still here, but I left my entire life behind in LA, my network, my career, my identity. Everyone was like, what are you going to do in Scottsdale? And, when I got here, I could just feel this tug from the universe. Like, you're supposed to be here. Just let some time go. Right. And because I didn't know anybody, I threw myself in every room I could. I started just Googling random events. I was like, no ego. We're going to meet people. Right. And I started meeting all these amazing small business owners who were creators and entrepreneurs. And you said something earlier, what is so magical about Scottsdale, and I say this and I shout it from the rooftops, we have the most amazing creator, entrepreneurial, solopreneurship community I have ever seen.
It's true.
It is unbelievable. The talent here, the gifts, and the support is the big piece, because I've also worked in very large cities, and I'd never seen this level of camaraderie like I do here in Scottsdale. It's something that I love and cherish, and also want to continue to nurture with people like you and people in our community that we're all friends with, and help elevate entrepreneurs. And what was happening, I was meeting all these amazing business owners that had amazing stories, amazing chapters and vulnerability and highs and lows and twists and turns that got them to be doing what they're doing. And they were not understanding that they too could be featured in the press. They didn't know where to start.
Yeah.
And so I explained to them that, hiring someone like myself, if you align with a freelancer, you align with a publicist, you align with an agency, you're essentially paying for their Rolodex, like you said, because we have spent years building genuine relationships with media that are going to help speed that process up. At the same time, not everybody can, maybe financially in whatever season they're in, afford to align with an agency or a freelancer, which was my catalyst for the workshops and the book, was to give some sort of descriptive outline and detail to how somebody could try to do this on their own if they had created the time and energy in their business to do so.
Well, let's talk about that, because that's literally was going to be my next follow-up question is, to PR agency or not?
Yeah.
How do you know when is the right time, and how do you know it's the right person or agency for you and your business?
It's such a great question. I actually devoted an entire chapter to this.
You did.
In the book, because I oftentimes get on the phone or in a meeting with somebody who's come to me with a not great experience.
Yeah.
That's usually how it goes. And so I always say, I like to underpromise and overdeliver.
Yep.
If a PR person is sitting with you in a meeting or an agency and they are promising you press coverage, run. No person should be promising or guaranteeing you any placement. And that is an integrity conversation, right? Because all of this is relational. It's based on our ability to get that story in the right hands, and things can deter that or shift the timing of that. And so you can't promise somebody they're going to get 100 placements because they're going to work with you. You have to let the experience speak for itself. And what I'm very blessed to share is that in the 7 years I've been here, my entire business has been referral for 7 years.
That's crazy.
Outside of the year during COVID, when I stepped back into corporate for a year.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people, because
you needed.
I lost all my clients overnight. But really, you want to build a rapport with your PR person. They become almost like an extension of your business and your brand. So it's like dating. You don't know what you're going to get really till you get behind the curtains a little, but you need to do your due diligence and ask the right questions, a lot of which I did outline in the book, because I want small business owners to step back and not be totally just enamored with the gloss and the glitz of what this could be, but understand that you're really wanting to align with someone who gets you, who hears you, who sees you, who also emotionally is connected to you based on your story.
Yeah.
And you have to share with each other to get to know each other before you go down this path of working together.
Well, and that's the thing too. What your business is determines where you need to go as well, right? Because there's certain agencies and certain reps that really focus on certain genres or certain things. Some are really great at doing just TV appearances or some stuff. So it's about doing your homework.
That's right. You've got to research. I always suggest, ask to speak to prior clients of theirs rather, right? To your point, some people maybe focus on podcast pitching. I niched down when I moved here and I stopped doing national press. I only work with businesses that are based here. And I work with our local media because, to your point earlier, I can't emphasize enough how important it is for people to know who you are and how you can help them in your backyard. If they don't know you're here, how can they buy from you? How can they support you? How can they become a brand loyalist? And they need to hear your story to resonate with you to eventually turn over that credit card.
Yeah.
The story, the emotion is where you're going to connect with your consumer, always. And so that was also the point of me putting this book out was I kept preaching to my clients, you've got to be vulnerable. You've got to share your truth.
Yeah.
And I needed to kind of go first and show, hey, it's not so scary if you just tell people a little bit about who you are and how did you end up getting to be doing what you're doing, because those dots connecting is what your consumer wants.
And it's so funny you say that, because I, for the first 15 years of my career, only worked behind the scenes, right? I was never on the microphone. I was never on camera, and I never wanted to be. And then the tables turned and I fought it. And I had to go back and be like, what advice would I give the talent right now that I was producing, right? And so when you have to take your own advice, it was one of those things I tell everyone, you are successful because of your story and who you are.
Yes.
Your business is just a piece of that.
Yes.
And people come to you and use your product and use your business because of you. That's just an added benefit. But people have a hard time seeing that.
They do. And I happen to be a very spiritual person. So for anybody listening who understands this language, I'm going to speak as well. This is an energy play, right? So I pour my heart out to people. I wear my heart on my sleeve. I'm very hyper aware of who I am and where my strengths are and where my weaknesses are and where I add value. And I sometimes often say to clients, you know what, you're going to be best working with someone else because you'll probably align with them better energetically, right? Your business is your soul. Right. And as you've read in the book, like the last 10 years of my life have been a major soul journey to get me to this beautiful, I think, very grounded place that I haven't been for a very long time, which is just more connected to who I am. And when you're operating a business, no matter what your niche is or your specialty, from just being who you are, you're going to always bring in the right people that you're supposed to connect with, right? I never force this business or my work on people. I always say, here's how I can help. If it's helpful, great. If it's not, I'm happy to refer you to someone else. Yeah. Because there's room for everybody. I refer clients to other PR women here in town all the time. Right. Because they might connect maybe better with them, or it makes more sense. And like I said, there's just room for everybody.
Well, that's what I love about you too, is your honesty and openness. You're not out there. You're genuinely out there for the right reasons. And if it's not a right fit, then that's fine. It's like no hard feelings. It's like, I care more about your business than I do about the bottom dollar for me, because at the end, karma and the universe will come back and bite you for that.
Yes. And also, I think what's happened in the business entrepreneurial world is we've got to take a step back and realize that we don't have to be so serious about all this. Yeah. The whole point is to have fun in business, work with great people, bring in aligned, amazing opportunities, and, understand that we're worthy of these things. That's the whole primary message of the book. Is I don't care if you're a startup business or you're 10, 15, 20 years into it. You are worthy of these opportunities. You are worthy of being on television. You're worthy of being on a podcast to tell your story. If these are things you want. If you don't want press for your business, you don't need to. Yeah. But if you want them, you got to throw yourself in the ring.
Well, let's talk about that. When to PR and when to not. How do you know is the right time for your business?
Yeah, it's such a great question. So when I meet a lot of business owners, they're kind of in that pre-opening of maybe a brick and mortar, right? It could be a restaurant. It could be a health and wellness location. It could be a niche service business and they have an office opening, right? So I work with a variety of type of businesses, but typically what you really want to do is get ahead of your opening. Which I do outline in the book to give people a sense of strategy, right? So Yes, could you start doing PR after you open a business? Sure. But is it going to be more beneficial if you give yourself like a several month runway to start pitching yourself and creating opportunities for coverage leading up to your opening, especially if it's a physical location you want people to come into?
Yeah.
So all that buzz and momentum is starting to like percolate in your town and people are seeing things, right? So I always say having conversations at least like 6 months out from an opening or a launch with someone would be really great. Now, that doesn't mean you have to sign them 6 months before. Maybe you start working together 3 or 4 months before your opening.
Okay.
But timing is crucial because I do see a lot of businesses, I think, miss a window of when they could have really kind of catapulted that leveraging of the momentum and the opening, right? Because that's part of your story. That's also a news hook for your local media that you're new, that you're opening. So thinking about the times for your particular business, whether you're an online business or you're a coach or you're a photographer, you're a stylist or whatever it is that you do, what are the peak times for you where you could be pitching? How could you be pitching yourself, to provide tips and expertise to go onto a local television segment? Maybe it's not around an opening, but maybe it's seasonal around an event going on in town. And if you're a stylist, you're going to want to share tips on how to best dress for this particular event in town, right? So really getting kind of strategic and outlining for you based on your opening, based on your launch or evergreen calendar throughout the year, when are going to be the best times for you to put yourself out there? Right.
There's so many different ways to put yourself out there too. Okay. So that is a whole nother beast in and of itself. We have all of our local, news stations and television shows.
Yes.
We have social media. You have the Scottsdale City Lifestyle Magazine. You have the Scottsdale Vibes podcast.
Yes.
How do you figure out where best your business fits? Because my next question to follow up with this is everyone needs a different pitch because of the different kind of outlet it is.
That's right. That's right. So what the big piece I try to explain to people when it comes to publicity is you have to research your media outlets. So whether you have the time to do this on your own, or you have a marketing coordinator, an intern on your team, or a virtual assistant even, someone on your team, whether it's you or them, needs to literally create your own research time scheduled in your calendar so that you can go and pick up local magazines tangibly and read them and research them. Figure out who are the right people at the TV stations. You can Google this. We didn't have access to any of this years ago.
Right.
We had to research and find,
You literally had a Rolodex. I'm not even like you
with the wheels.
We're both here like using our hands. Like we remember that.
I loved having that Rolodex on my desk. But now, you can research on LinkedIn, you can Google TV stations. Most of the journalists and the reporters and the anchors all have their emails, most of them on the station's website. So it's very easy to find this information. Why this research piece though is crucial is because, to your point, you don't want to craft a pitch or you don't want to go to any of these folks without understanding their audience, because it might not be the right outlet for you. And that's okay. It's okay if it's not the right one. But if you're a golfer and you're launching, your own golf line, apparel line that you've designed, for instance, you're not going to, go pitch an editor that doesn't cover business or sports, possibly, right? So we have to just be careful that we're going to the right person. Most of the time for local businesses, you're going to be looking at like the business editor, managing editor, right? Somebody that covers perhaps lifestyle or openings or real estate. It's going to kind of fall in that category. But research is key so that you're also showing the person receiving it, the media person, that you understand their platform and you're not just sharing some wide pitch out to 100 people.
I've totally had someone come and pitch me and then number one, they used the wrong name. Right, key. And then you can tell it's a generic one because they forgot to take out the parentheses around the fill-in of the blank kind of thing. So please reread your pitches too.
Yes. Well, and go slow, right?
Yeah.
Because there's.
And listen, I've done these mistakes too. We've all guilty of it.
Yes. Oh yeah. Loads of those early in my career.
Yeah.
But I think research just shows a respect to the person you're sending it to. And then what happens is that's where you start building that relationship that we're talking about. Those relationships with the media get formed when they see you as a trusted and reliable expert, when they know they can keep coming to you over and over again, and you're going to provide great tips, and you're going to show up with your A game, and you're going to give great value and information and expertise. that's essentially what we're going for, right?
Yeah.
Building relationships that are going to help you be able to become a trusted resource to your local media.
Talk about the toolkit. You do a few chapters in the book about this, but it really, to me, is like the second step.
Yeah.
Talk about building your PR toolkit.
Yeah, the toolkit, and it's such a cheesy coined phrase that I came up with, but I love it because it just simplifies this. Because everyone says, oh, okay, I want press. And I go, okay, great. Well, let's take a step back.
Yeah.
Do we have, a logo? Do we have professional lifestyle or beautiful recent headshots of the founder, or the physical location we're going to show off, or your products? What kind of imagery do we have that are going to help elevate the story and bring it to life? If you're a product, do we have product samples that we can send to media? Do you have things ready to go?
Yeah.
Do you have a bio on your founder? Do you have key messages already outlined? So the PR toolkit, that chapter kind of talks through, okay, if you're going to start pitching yourself, or you're going to align with an agency or a freelancer like myself, you're going to need at least, at bare minimum, these basic kind of 101 things to help them be set up for success in pitching you. We need strong images. And the reason imagery is also so important is because a lot of publications don't always have professional photographers and staff or budgets to always go photograph things. So if you have strong imagery that's already ready to go that they can use, you're going to have a much easier time probably getting in if you have the right strong imagery. And even for, podcast interviews or pitching yourself for a speaking opportunity, people need to see you. They need to see the person behind the brand. So having those strong images is crucial. Now, the best part about this is you don't have to stress out about having, thousands and thousands of dollars put into photography. In your local market, you can lean on your, colleges, college students, people that are looking to build their portfolio and just get really great imagery without spending, a ton, and just start small if it's overwhelming.
Yeah, and that's true. That's the thing about when you're an entrepreneur, use other entrepreneurs like you.
That's right.
They're all out there. They're very successful. Again, do your research, but there's a lot of trade value that's there because we need to build together. Yes. Everyone understands what it's like and how expensive it can be to start a business. And there's so much willing out there to do that.
Yes. Yeah. And everyone, look, I'll tell you the best story possible. This book, which was on my heart for a very long time, I was so nervous about who, could photograph this and how I was going to find that right person. And I literally just wrote about it in my journal, tossed it out to the universe. And then one day I get a DM from the photographer who became the photographer that shot it, Katie Levine. She's based here. She's amazing. She came from LA. We started having just a little DM chat. And, she shot the book.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know she was here. So you just never know when you're doing your thing and being out there, who's seeing and watching and who's going to slide into the DMs, right?
Yeah, put it out there. Let's kind of talk about, we mentioned this a little bit before, social media. It is not a one-all be-all out there for getting your name seen. Everyone thinks it's the easiest way, and then you have to spend a ton of money to do it, and it's like you are only on one outlet. And I'm trying to teach people, if you want to be found, you have to be everywhere.
You do.
And social media is not it for you, and it's not the one all be all for anybody out there.
Agreed.
How have you seen social media shift and change our businesses and our perspective on how to grow a business?
Yeah. Wow. That's
a loaded question, I know.
That's like a 4-hour combo separate. But, it's so fascinating because I see a lot of people invest a lot into their social media, which I completely respect. And I think it is important.
It is important, yes.
It's very important. But to your point, it shouldn't be the main focus, in my opinion, because what happens when you get a chance to be interviewed by a magazine or you get a 3 to 5 minute segment on television is you're also lifting your story out further. You're getting a chance to get into a little bit more detail that you don't always necessarily get sometimes if somebody's just scrolling on social. They might not pick it up, right?
Yeah.
So unless you're
And the algorithm has to be with you too.
Well, that's the thing. If you're somebody who's not consistently posting and sharing that story every day, imagine all the people that, get a magazine in the mail or they're sitting in a doctor's office. And I'm so old school. I read everything. I love people's stories. I want to know why they got into doing what they're doing. How did they come up with this brilliant idea? So I am the consumer that I want to read the whole story. And when you're scrolling through social, you don't always get necessarily right away who somebody is. You get a snippet, which is great. So yes, it's important to use that tool for everything beautiful it is. But I think people forget, and I just had this with a client who is amazing, and she's a professional keynote speaker, and she's out there in the world all the time. And she recently got to do a TV segment here, and I watched her light up and have the most amazing experience because she was in her zone. Yeah. She was like, I didn't even realize how great and powerful that was going to be for me. Yeah. And she got to share herself in a different way and hit a lot of new people. Yeah. Right?
It is. And, social media is an evil beast. We need it. I hate it. I love it. Everything about it. Yeah. But the thing about social media, and I like what you just said, is like you consume and you read everything. Yeah. A lot of times when you're on social media, you have that headline and you have to go through their link to click to read more. Yep. Most people are not doing that.
They're not.
And so if you think about that, if you want to be seen, connect your social media link to a newsletter or go on a podcast and share your social media link there to find out more information. It's all about doing everything to connect all the dots. Yes. Because everywhere you go, you're going to get a new subscriber, buyer, fan, follow. It's everything combined.
It's everything. And I will tell you, I personally have been doubling down on LinkedIn. I love LinkedIn because it helps me share my clients in a more tangible way where people can really read these articles or hear podcasts. Mm-hmm. When you share things in stories on Instagram, it's great. But I also find that things get very lost in the shuffle. Yeah. Right. And so we don't want to overshare, overhit everybody, overstimulate them. I think at the end of the day, at least what I'm doing with social media is just using it to be me and have real conversations and share my journey and share my truth. And if somebody stumbles upon me there and wants to work with me because they are connected to me as a person, great.
I think that's what's hard is I'm so good at bringing everyone else's story out, but I enjoy my privacy and bringing my own story out. My social media marketing teams tell me the same thing. You're like, Alicia, you have to share more of what your day is and all that kind of thing. You do. And it's like, cause they're like, you're out there doing this all day, just share it. And I'm like, okay, I need to get better. Cause I am out there, guys.
You are. I was going to say, you don't strike me as someone that would not want to share, but what is it you think that's holding you back?
I honestly forget. I will go to these events. I will take videos. I'll take pictures. And then 3 days later, it's like, oh my gosh, I never posted. Yeah. And so that's for me.
It's a lot of energy.
It is a lot of energy. And when you're out there and you're being social and stuff like that, I love it. I need that in my life, but I also enjoy going home to quietness. Yeah. And when I do that, I miss that opportunity. So if y'all ever, if anyone was ever in my Google photo drive, they'd be like, you did so much. And I was like, I know, I forgot to tell everybody. It's like, I have to be better about that.
But I get it. I've had to create severe boundaries around social media for my own energetic and mental health.
That too.
Over the last few years, because we are consuming so much and the world is crazy. And so we have to find the balance of using it for joy, using it for work in ways that feel good without it overwhelming us.
Right. And that's literally why I hired a team to do it for me too, is so I didn't feel obligated and worried about missing an opportunity. I would just do it and I send it to them and then they do everything for me. So everyone's like, you're always on social media. It's like, no, my team is, guys. Yes, I am. But I have an amazing team behind me that does all of this for me.
That's the way to do it. Yes.
So that's how it happens. You guys go read it. There's a whole workbook in the back that she really dives in for you and your business, makes you think. And really, I think the best thing about that I love too, Nicole, is before reaching out to you or another agency or stuff, dive deep. These are the questions you need to ask yourself. And if you can't answer them, then go get help. Call Nicole. And like she said, if it's not her, she knows everybody in this town and will help you. And combine your forces. Yes. But go check out our book. You are worthy of publicity because you are, and so is your company, and so is your business. And we have to remind ourselves of that. All right, before we leave, my favorite question I ask everyone, what is your favorite Scottsdale vibe?
Oh my gosh. Scottsdale is just a vibe to me. Right. I adore life here. I moved here 7 years ago on a whim, like I said, and it's just the energy here. I love the environment. And I think coming from a hyper stimulated town like LA, I enjoy the simplicity of life. So the vibe for me is just, it's just a Scottsdale energy.
Yeah,
it's
I agree.
A daily vibe that I feel so grateful to be in. And I feel very free here and very creative here.
That's actually where the podcast name came from, is because Scottsdale is such a unique vibe it's hard to understand. And that's kind of where I got the question to ask people this, is because everyone's vibe is different, but it's all love at the end of the day.
It is. It's a very nurturing community, like you said. And I think the growth here and there's just a beautiful camaraderie here. So
I love it. Well, go buy our book. It's on Amazon. I have the link in the description of this episode as well, on our YouTube channel and on the audio. You can find us on any podcast listening app. Nicole Myden, thank you so much for what you do.
Thank you, friend. You're amazing.
Go pick up Nicole's book, The Power of PR. Everyone deserves the power of PR. Make sure that your voice, your business, yourself is heard. Reach out to Michelle. There are many, many small business PR agencies here in town. They all work together. They're all here to serve you, and be a proud Scottsdale business owner. Reach out. We might have a conversation as well. Thank you, Nicole, for all you do for the small businesses, for yourself, and for our community. And have a wonderful week, Scottsdale. I hope to see you around town. Buying a home can be scary and sometimes frustrating, but all of that can go away with the right realtor. And that's where Shawn Shackleton with the Shackleton Group is here for you. Shawn has over 25 years experience in real estate. She's here to get you what you want and won't settle for less. She's experienced, knowledgeable, and understands this market, which these days is always changing. Take the stress out of your next home purchase by calling Shawn at 480-734-7277. You can also find her at theshackletongroup.com.